The term is called secondary traumatization, to indicate that the primary trauma happens to someone, and if you have a close and extended relationship with that person, you're likely to become traumatized, even though you didn't experience it yourself. There are terms secondary traumatization, vicarious traumatization. Sometimes with therapists they call it compassion fatigue. But it all indicates that a person who deals with people who are traumatized can pick up that person's trauma. It is almost as if trauma is contagious. Well, having been in the military, having been in the Army in Vietnam, I can tell you that it is not something that one would want to readily admit. It is considered in some ways unmanly or weak to say that you're experiencing trauma. The military is more sensitive to this now and they're more responsive now because there have been a number of problems. And one of them is that there has been a very high suicide rate, people in Iraq. It then became known that many soldiers are on antidepressant medication in order to cope with their problems. They do have services for these people, for traumatized people, but it's not something that most military people will readily avail themselves of. I think with the Fort Hood situation that this Major Hassan, that there were multiple factors that led to his behavior. Some of them were that he was in fact a Muslim, that he felt discriminated against, that he really felt that what was going on out there was wrong. He feared that he was going to be sent over there. And finally, to me this is a major factor, is that he dealt with many, many cases of trauma. So the psychological burdens of the soldiers over there really, I think, threw him over the edge. The kind of trauma that's being reported to the Army psychiatrists and psychologists is usually of the most horrific nature, of dead bodies and guts spilled out on the ground and their buddies' heads blown off and that sort of thing. I would not be surprised if virtually all Army psychiatrists and psychologists are troubled in some way from just the number of cases that they see. When we finally arrived back in the United States, first of all, we were unbelievably thankful that we survived. And we were in Fort Lewis, Washington, when we were processing out, or what you accurately call mustering out of the Army. And they said to us, if any of you have medical or psychological problems, please let us know, and it's our responsibility to treat those problems. However, you should know that it's going to take about another month. You're going to have to stay in the Army for another month in order for us to treat these problems. So that's the kind of double message you get in the military. We're here to help you, but if you ask for help or if you admit weakness, you're in trouble.